you're probably not going to like where this video ends up. If you feel like you've enjoyed anything I've ever done with this car, please just hear me out. Well, let's go back to where the last video left off, which was basically me saying I think it was time to knock Clement on the head. And to be honest with you, when that video went out, I already knew that's what I was going to do, because in making that video, it confirmed for me that that was going to be the way that this car ended up. But I didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I did put it up for sale. I put it up for sale for a while, actually. Gave plenty of people probably had a month, all things considered, to step in and just take it on as it was. And aside from a couple of messes, basically, through messages and things, there were no serious candidates. There were no genuine candidates, and the only time there might have been one was when they'd messaged me when it was too late. What I've been doing instead is removing parts from the car, selling them, trying to make the money back, and I have made the money back. Clement has now broken even, so I'm not out of pocket anymore. I don't have much of it left. Well, it looks like I do, but I don't. It's just a hulk. It's a shell. The reason that no one was really bothered about taking this car on kind of justifies to me that I'm making the right call here. So I think we need to address some common misconceptions and queries about everything that's happened with this car from day one. And this is going to be a cards on the table thing, and be completely transparent with this. I got the car, God knows when. When did I get it? I'll write it on the screen because I can't remember. Originally it was actually it was a trade. I didn't pay any money for it originally. The trade it was for was to do some work on another car, on a BX, in my own time. Looking back at it, I was naive in it, and I got very excited because DS, well, it's not really a DS, it's a D Super 5, but DS. The car that I took on to repair for this car was a heap. So that was silly. I shouldn't have done that because it was just too much. You know, it might have broken even if this was semi-good condition. If this was a half decent car, I might have broken even with it. It was a rough car, that one. And also the thing I didn't take into consideration was how bad this car was. This car was really bad. And my naivety basically led me to kind of come to the conclusion that if it had driven itself here, which it did, that it can't be that bad. So yeah, basically what some people are happy to drive and what I'd be happy to drive are different things. This car was an absolute heap. Now, way back at the time when I got Clement as part of this deal, I was really excited. I put on a beret that I found in the car, and I was bouncing around the place. I was so chuffed. It's a DS. I mean, it's one of my dream cars. I've always wanted one. And I'll admit it, I went home and I was more excited. Oh, for fuck's sake. Wait, was I about to say I was more excited to get Clement than to get the SM? Well, I don't know what I was about to say. I got interrupted because the entire world and his dog tried to enter the yard. I had the whole estate was just people absolutely everywhere. So the idea of the video I was doing today has not gone well. So it is now many hours later and Clement has gone, but this has worked out better because I've learned more and I can talk, and I'm not kind of... This morning when I started recording this, I was talking slowly and I was a bit like, a bit emotional and a bit, and it's in front of me and everything. Well, Clement has gone. There are bits of Clement left. For example, I have keepsakes of Clement. Some of these will become merch. I will make some little keychains out of those. But yeah, I thought, let's explain some stuff first. So, there were a number of people when I got the car who were very quick to point out and say, well, that's just beyond it. That's pointless. That's knackered, blah, blah, blah. It's a waste of time. It's dead. It's this, that, the other. those people now will be laughing. Those people now will be going, ha ha ha, I told you, I knew I was right. Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. But a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, DSs are not like normal cars. Normal cars are either chassis with separate bodies, like a Land Rover, like an old Land Rover, or a Morris Minor, I think. I don't actually know. Is it a Morris Minor? Or a TVR. How about the ones I work on? TVRs, loads of cars, you know, tends to be bigger stuff now. So you have a separate body and a chassis. The body is the body, the interior, the doors, everything, and the chassis is all the mechanical stuff underneath it. Or you get a monocoque. A monocoque is where you have a big sort of unitary frame and everything. It is the chassis and the body in one. It's a better way of doing it. Now, the DS is kind of a weird one because it's halfway between the two, because it has a chassis, but the chassis has the floor built into it, and also the A pillar, B pillar, C pillar. The roof glues to it, and all the body panels are hung from it. So I suppose it's probably a monocoque technically. What it means is that the bodywork you see is no reflection of what the car is like underneath. Someone might see a DS and go, well, that's an absolute rust bucket. Look at it. It's got rust all up the doors. It's got rust all up the wings, everything like that. It doesn't mean anything. If you were to get a Ford Orion, for example, hello Ford Orion owners, if you were to get one of those and you look at the sort of wheel arch, the dog leg, you know, the bottom of the wheel arch there, if there's rust on the wheel arch on a Ford Orion on the back, that is bad, because that's not a removable part. That's the shell. That's part of the car. That's like that's surgery. You can't just unbolt that part and change it. With a DS, if you were to get one of those, if the roof was the roof would be rusted. If the boot was rusted, if the quarter panels, the doors, whatever, is all knackered, you could get your DS. You could remove that panel, fit a new panel, and carry on. Same for the front wings, same for the bonnet, same for the boot, same for the quarter panels, same for anything you can see on the outside of a DS. On the outside of a DS, there is only fractions of what you can see that isn't removable. 97% of what you see on the outside of a DS, really, the only thing that's not, I've got a really itchy nose, sorry. Really, the only thing that's not, if you look around the rear window on a DS, on a saloon, the black that's around the rear window, and the parcel shelf inside the window, but that's underneath the cover. Yeah, that's not removable. That's part of the shell. You might get a glimpse of black around the door frames. Well, they haven't got door frames, but around the A pillars, B pillars, things like that, behind the covers. How a car looks bodily can play absolutely no part whatsoever in how good the car is. You need to remember this. So that was the point with Clement. I saw Clement and thought, okay, it looks like a wreck, but I love the look. I love the look of Clement. I thought it looked fantastic. I thought, I love that. I do not want to change that. But I do want to make sure it's nice underneath. And I knew that it had a lot of money spent underneath it. Sure enough, you look in certain places, it had. Some of the welding, okay, yeah, it wasn't amazing, but, you know, fair enough. Sometimes like welding can be ugly, but still strong and functional. And it can be prettied up, so that's not a problem. And it seemed, you know, the hydraulics were in good order, and it, you know, it was minging, but it was also very cheap, effectively. Now, the problem came the first problem came when I started to do the repair work for the car. I'm sorry, I'm getting over COVID and my nose does not stop itching, so you're just going to have to ignore it. So basically, the car, I had to do some work on the car, on this other car in return for this first one for Clement, but I had to get Clement in because the person who was holding Clement had nowhere to put it. So it had to come here as well before I'd done the work on the other car, which isn't ideal, but there you go. And then the other car was able to go outside because the other car was watertight, but Clement was not. So Clement had to go inside. So I kind of had to start working on the other car, but also get moving on Clement, because I couldn't just leave Clement sat inside taking up a DS-sized space. It doesn't work. I had to make it watertight. So I thought, well, let's get the roof done. Take the roof off, and I'll get the roof done. Taking the doors, the wings, and everything like that off took no time, literally took no time at all. I mean, the front wings were held on by one bolt each. So I did I stripped it down, I took the roof off, and thought, I'll quickly do the roof. Well, I'll do the roof, and then I can make it watertight, and then I can put new seals on the doors, and it'll look the same, and then we'll park it all back up, and it can go outside. And then I can focus on repairing the other car I'm doing in return for Clement, plus the day-to-day jobs of running a business. And that's as far as I got with it, because basically you saw what happened. It just got worse and worse and worse. The roof came off. Many people would have thrown in the towel at that point. Many people would have seen the filler underneath the roof and gone, no, I'm not having that. But I didn't. I went with it. I was committed. I should be committed. Now, a lot of people would be saying, you have an SM. Why are you prattling around getting a DS? And they were saying it at the time, and it was a fair point. My answers for this were basically that Clement was a dry run. I was scared of this thing. I was scared to take this apart. It's the only car I've ever really been, like, properly scared of, because there's just so much, and I don't know any of it. There's so much of it, and I think, well, how am I going to remember where all this goes? But then I was like that at one point with TVRs, and I could put one of those back together in my sleep now. But I knew mechanically a DS would be a good practice run at working on an SM, and in fact it has been. However, not entirely Clement, because I've also been working on another DS which has become known as Audrey, because we've started naming cars for some reason. I've learned more on that, really, because I'm working on that more. And a variety of things, welding, mechanical, all sorts. So yeah, I'm feeling more confident about the SM, and I'm looking at it now going, I'm gonna get stuck into you. Once I've done Hilda and my BX and the TVR and everything like that. Once I've done everything, I don't want to be distracted, I'm going to tear into this. So Clements Purpose in many ways was as a practice run, as a dry run, and it did serve as that. Now, I didn't actually get to drive the car properly, but it did serve as the dry run. It did serve as a practice run. I did learn things with it. But it became obvious, once I'd started on the roof, I then went to do some more work on Audrey, which is the other one, and it's not a DS though. And in doing the work on that, and that work has gone, it's time consuming, but it's gone successfully so far. It's responding. The work is going well. I'm happy with how it's coming out. And I thought, oh, I need probably have to check all this on Clement, because this is pretty rough all around the C-pillar. You know, C-pillar and the floor and the fuel tank and everything. And that's when it changed, because that's when I looked at those areas and thought, hang on, all this, well, you've seen the video, the last video, Curtains for Clement. If you haven't, you need to watch that for context. That was the point where I saw Clement and thought, hang on. So not only am I going to have to do all the stuff that's rust, I'm going to have to do all the stuff that has already been done. Because some of the condition of some of the work that had been done on that car in recent years is atrocious. And I'm not laying that on. It's appalling, some of it. That's when it dropped. That's when my mood went. That's when I thought, you know what, and I've had enough people come up to me and go, oh, that car's the basket case, oh, you won't get that done, and that just serves to fuel me and wind me up and think, well, don't you tell me what I can and can't do. I can do it. And I could have done Clement. 100% confident I could have done Clement. I could have succeeded. I could have done everything I wanted to do. But it would have been at the cost of other things, because the amount of time that car would have taken, I probably could have had a running SM. That's when the mood dropped for me, basically. Yeah, when I found that globber sealant in the C-pillar where the seatbelt mount normally is, I think Clement died at that point, because I just saw that and thought, no. I don't blame, I'm not angry at myself, I don't regret anything, but, you know, at the end of the day, that car died because of the work that was done on it in the past few years. And I believe it was sat in a field for a long time before that, and someone came in with some intentions to get it on the road, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have ideas about who may be responsible, but you know, people have died literally in this chain of events. So I think it's just time to put it to bed. And end the chapter that is Clement. I know I have a ton of work to do on this, and it's very scary work, and there's a lot of very, very bad rust on this car, and in terms of a rust point of view, this car is way worse than Clement. Way, way worse. But it's not bodged. Well, actually it is. There's some bits on the back that are, but that'll be another video. If Clement was just in the condition that it was found, at least you'd see what needed to be done. And the stupid thing with DSs is you've got companies like Citroen Classics, who are only, you know, in the UK, they're UK based, who will sell you body panels. You don't have to make stuff. You don't have to, like, ham-fistedly bend some bits of tin and, like, glob it with pigeon shit to the side of the C-pillar and then throw a load of filler over the top of it, or sealant that stinks. You can just buy the panels. You can buy the panels. They fit, you know. So you can't buy them for SMs. Last year I was full of promise. 2024 was going to be the year that Clement hit the road. 2024 is now not the year that Clement's going to hit the road. Clement is never going to hit the road again. Clement's heart is out. I've recouped my losses, if you like. I'm now not really out of pocket anymore, maybe slightly, but yeah, not really out of pocket. I've had an experience, have learned not to name cars too, because it makes them harder to scrap. And I'm sad that I no longer have, well, even a D Super 5, but you know, a DS. Which brings me on to the bit at the beginning of the video, or in the thumbnail actually, where I've said, you are not going to like this. And you're probably wondering, that's a bit clickbaity, what does it mean? Well, Clement is no longer with me. I have some remains of Clement. I have some bits and bobs and some trinkets, but I no longer have Clement. What was left of Clement? Well, you've seen the picture at the beginning. That video was shot this morning. It is the 20-something of January. I genuinely don't know. And that is basically how Clement left here. Now, Clement left here in that condition. It was not cut up. It was not picked up and, you know, put into a truck and crushed with a claw or anything like that. It's gone somewhere else, actually. It's an avenue that I wanted to explore. I had a few options as to what I was going to do with the remains of Clement. And that's what they are, really. We need to remember this, everyone, before you start putting my face on a dartboard. Now, I had ideas of taking all the body panels and making some big frame to put on the wall and making like car art, because I thought the side profile of that car is just, even with that paintwork and everything, it just looks perfect. Now, I came to hate the look of that car. Well, not hate, that's wrong. I couldn't find any joy in how it looked after a while, because when I found all these bodges, to me, that was like, right, the person who wanted it to look like this was happy to have all this. You would assume, I don't know, but they go hand in hand. And I thought, and that's one of the reasons, again, why Clement was ended, because I decided, no, I would now have to restore this car completely. And that's when it just goes off the chart. Like, it's not worth, financially, it's not worth it. And I know everything isn't about finances, but you can't be massively out of pocket, especially when you haven't got much to start with like me, and when you've got one of these things to try and restore. So that was one of my ideas, was to make a bit of car art, just, you know, maybe we make some souvenirs and some things like that for people, because I think people are quite into Clement. I think people were quite on board with it. And, you know, I had people come in here. People don't just rock up, please don't do that. But on the occasion someone I knew came, they wanted to see Clement. They were like, I want to see it, I want to see it. You know, and they wanted to touch Clement, because it became a thing. And I think people found it endearing. So I had this idea of selling parts of Clement. Maybe put a bit of charity donation in there as well, because of course Clement is the car that the live stream kicked off in the year before. The 24-hour live stream for Sophie's Legacy was done in Clement. It's raised money for people, that car. It's taught me things. It's given people joy, hopefully, or enjoyment to watch videos. It's a dead car, and it's still providing content. It's still providing visual nourishment. I don't know. Now, I didn't do that because I had other ideas, which I'll go on to, and also because to do all that kind of stuff would take a lot of time. And again, then I think, well, if I'm putting all this time into making car art, I could have been fixing the car, or I could have been working on the SM, which is really what I should be doing. So I didn't do that. I thought, no, I need a one-size-fits-all solution here. I need something that kind of just, I don't have to do anything anymore. Full stop. I may still get something out of, and more importantly, everyone who watches may still get something out of. Oh, I'm skirting around this. Right, okay, so I contacted a racing team. People know where this is going. I contacted a racing team and said, I have a Citroen DS carcass, if you like, here. Now it has parts on it, and it did have parts on it at the time. They have a bit of value. I don't want to include those because they have value, but once I've got everything left at the end of it, I would be willing to donate it to a cause. And that cause will be recognised on a racetrack in Aldershot, which is an oval and has other cars realising similar causes, basically trying to race each other to the line, surviving each other. Yes, I'm scouting around it so much. I have given Clement to a banger racer. Hopefully Clement is going to wreak hell on some cars. Yeah, Clement has genuine. This is not an April Fool's. Clement, this is not even April. Some people will be watching this now and going, you know, hurling things at the screen, unsubscribe, unlike, petition. Right. So let me explain it. Give me a 5 minutes or whatever to talk this through. So Clement has nothing left to give. Clement is just a husk, a shell. It's just a rotten, really badly repaired DS that you'd have to rebuild it from scratch to make it worthwhile. And DSs aren't rare cars. Citroen made many of them. There are many DSs out there that are tidy. There are many out there that are basket cases that can be restored. It's not like removing Clement from the census has, you know, shortened the world in any way or wronged the world in any way, right? It's not like it's the only one. There's plenty out there. It's not like it's an SM or something like that. So Clement is given, and I think that the options were really in my timescale here and my workload. I can either just packed it off to a scrapyard, straight into a baler, whatever's left, just crush it up. Wouldn't take much, would it? And I thought, no, I'm not having it. Clement can give one more. Clement can do one more thing. Clement can put a smile on the face of someone behind the wheel. Clement can put a smile on the face of people in an audience, in a crowd. They're all going to end up the same way eventually. So let's not be wasteful. Clement can be used on a racetrack. Clement can be used as a banger racer. So, yeah, I have donated Clement to a banger racer. Now, the banger racer of choice, the racing team, are known as the Bilge Brigade. People will probably know that name if you're into Citroens, because you will have seen Citroens, a DS Safari, actually, driven by Mike, who came to get him earlier on. Him, don't say him, it's a car, who came to get Clement earlier on. You will also have seen pictures, as did I, of a Panhard 24 CT, or was it CT24? I don't know. Going around, and I cried when I saw those pictures. But having spoken to Mike and having learned a bit, because I have much to learn about all this, I'm now 100% certain I've done the right thing. So what my aim is that Clement will go to an event, hopefully in August, as long as he can get it ready, and go out with one final blaze of glory, one final hurrah, and let's see how well some of those repairs stand up. I'm actually kind of worried that it'll be really strong. We'll find out. It's something that I've been intrigued by, something that I've been interested in, and watching, learning more about how banger racing is done. I don't really know how I know very little about it. I know there are a lot of bad eggs. I know there are a lot of bad characters. I know there are, only recently there was some American cars that was stolen and raced in Ringwood near here. No vetting done whatsoever. You could rock up with anything. It could be stolen. No one cared. And that's wrong. And these cars, someone's pride and joy got stolen and banger raced. And that's complete opposite end of the scale. That's scumbag behaviour, in my opinion. Genuinely, put them in jail. But not everyone is like that. And I think it's important to remember not to tar everyone with the same brush. And having spoken to Mike, the guy is banging to his cars. He has cars that he has for the road. He does up or restores and, and enjoys on the road. And the other thing is, there's always a story behind these cars. So when you see a DS going around a banger track and you think, that's sacrilege, that shouldn't happen, that's awful. It's Clement. Right. We all know what Clement's like. Nobody wanted to buy Clement from me. And that's kind of the way it goes. A lot of these cars are on the tracks because nobody wants them. It's terrible to see them going around. Well, yes, it is sad in many ways, but they're normally too far gone. No one wants to buy them. If they did, do you think a banger racer would race it? No. If they could make money selling the thing, they'd sell it. But no one wants it. And if they do want it, if you've got it up for sale for like £800 or something like that, and you're just getting idiots message you and waste your time and muck you about and ask you dumb questions, I can see why people don't have the patience for it. So, now I will freely admit that I was in the OMG category when I saw this Panhard going around, but I haven't spoken to Mike. Very interesting. So that Panhard, I won't go into massive details. Hopefully we'll get to speak to Mike on camera, which would be good, because I think he could tell some stuff. But that Panhard came to him stripped. It had been... I don't know how it came about, but the Panhard Owners Club had this car in the UK and just gutted it, taken everything off it they wanted, and instructed that the rest of it had to be scrapped. It must be scrapped. It cannot go back on the road. So you have a Panhard with like no floor, all the engine, brakes, everything, all the stuff, running gear, all been stripped out of it. You've just got a shell. I think it had rear suspension. I was surprised that it had the bumpers and stainless trim on and things, but he said, well, so was he, but at the same time, the Owners Club didn't take any of it off, so he assumed that it wasn't worth anything. And it looks more like a Panhard if it's got all that stuff on. So, yeah, and that car had a TU engine in the front of it. It was had an AX 1.4 engine bodged into the front of it. It wasn't running on it wasn't all the rare bits underneath. It looked like a Panhard, just like Clement will look like a DS, but underneath it's not. And the DS Safari that they drove around, the front of that was a Mondeo. It had a Mondeo welded to the front of it. It might look like a DS. When you saw it rear-ended, I mean, there were some DS bits at the back, but when you saw it get rear-ended, and the CX that he drove, and the car that rear-ends them just drives into the cabin, you can see how bad those cars were. They were wrecks. They weren't even close to be. You can fool people by painting them in some wacky colour scheme and then hammering them around a circuit really fast to make people think, that's awful, that car was fine, look, it's moving. Yeah, because it's got a Mondeo front end welded on it. It can't go on the road like that. It's not a DS anymore. And neither will Clement be. Clement will not be a DS. Clement's engine is over there. Clement's gearbox, interior, everything, gone. It just looks like Clement. But underneath, I don't know how he's going to do it. I'm intrigued to know how he's going to do it because I'm intrigued by the engineering. But yeah, I think long term, it was the right thing to do. Clement will have one final hurrah. It will be in August, hopefully. We'll confirm when we know that he's got it done. But yeah, we hope it's in August, August the 11th, I believe. You can go, you can buy tickets, you can go and watch it. It's an Aldershot. Apparently it's a good event as far as banger racing events go. It's on a Sunday. I believe it'll be an afternoon. Yeah, I'm hoping to go there. I want to film the race. I don't know how I'm going to feel when I see it, but yeah, I want Clement to go and wreak hell. I want Clement to go and absolutely avenge itself before peacefully. Really, it's not Clement. It's like sticking a corpse on a Segway. There will be bits of Clement available. I have removed parts. I have many memories, many happy things. I have Clement's VIN plate. I have the Clement from, well, I wanted to say it was from France, but it wasn't. It came from Belgium. I will make my own little Clement shrine, and a lot of this will go on it. I have many good memories of my family. But I do have other stuff. Now, there will be some auctions done on eBay. It's the fairest way to do it, I think. There will be trinkets. There will be little mementos for people who really bought into this Clement thing and are sad and would like some way of remembering Clement. There will be some high ticket items, such as the front number plate, which was made in 2020, according to the back of that. How can something made in 2020 look that bad? I've got pants that are older than that. And then, as I say, there are bits of metal here. Some of this is for me, some of this is not. These pieces here will be chopped up into small little strips. And then I'll put a little tiny hole in them and a little keyring thing, and you can do what the hell you want with it. So there will be bits of Clement you can buy. There is also buckets and buckets of Clement stuff. Some of it has value. And if you're restoring a D and you need some bits, hit me up, let me know. I will be, willing to sell. If there's good condition stuff, I'll sell it. If it's tatty as hell, then we'll figure something out. And likewise, if you've donated anything to Clement over the years, people have donated things. People have sent me glove boxes and all sorts, switches, things like that. I'm either happy to return them. I'm guessing you don't want them back, but what I will do is forward them on to someone else. So if I see someone go, oh, I need a whatever, and I know I've got it and it was given to me, then I will forward that on. I will pay that forward. And then lastly, any bits left over after we've done, what we'll do when we do the eBay sales, there'll be a right old bundle of stuff, interior door handle. I've got door cards. Here we go, look. What the hell to do with these? These aren't good, they're not tidy enough, are they, for people to... I mean, it looks so good, doesn't it? But it's not good enough for someone to put in their car, so that's a bit of wall art for a garage, isn't it? Put a clock there. Clement clock. Oh, I should do that. As I say, probably do it through eBay. Private auctions it can be, it doesn't have to be a public one. We can do private auctions, link only through the website. But what I will do, I've got lots of like random stuff. I've got like the gear lever and things like that. None of it's good enough to sell to someone with a D, because it's not particularly good condition, but at the same time, it's too pretty to throw it away. So I've had ideas. What I'm going to do is sell some of this stuff very cheap. And I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to sell it because I'm taking proceeds towards Sophie's Legacy. There will be a percentage from each item that will go to Sophie's Legacy, and the remainder of it will go into the pot for this, because this has to happen. So there'll be some bits that will be on the cheap side. And what I want to do is I want to sell them to people, and people to make it into something. I don't know what. I want to upcycle it. It hasn't got to go in a car. A tatty DS door handle. Well, okay, yeah, you can't use it in a car. It's knackered, but could you make a bog roll holder for it, for the outside toilet? For example, I have a rear speaker grill from the parcel shelf for Clement. Well, it doesn't have to be a rear speaker grill. What else could you do with that? I have rear reflector thing that goes on the corner of the rear wing that someone, I mean, this is what you're at, someone's drilled a hole through it. They did it on the other one as well. So yeah, it's knackered, you can't use that. Well, you could use the trim, I suppose, but it got a bit dented. What could you make something with this? Could someone put that on the back of their bicycle? A gear lever. It's a bit pitted and whatnot, but that's Clement's column shift gear lever. What could you make that out of? A back scratcher? I don't know. So what I want to do is a lot of this stuff I'm going to sell on the cheap, token stuff really, but because I only on the condition that people buy this stuff and they make something with it and then they show me what they made. I want Clement to continue and be spread out across the world and see someone in America make a toilet roll holder out of a gear lever from Clement. I just think that's cool. So yeah, there's not really much that will go on the SM. Or similarly, if someone needs a part, if someone sees that speaker grill and goes, I have a rat look DS, but I have no speaker grill, that would be perfect because it's a rat look speaker grill. Hit me up, let me know. I'm not going to let Clement go to waste. Clement is not going to be just forgotten, but Clement has gone. There ain't no more Clement until August, in which case there will be bits of Clement all over the track, somewhere in Aldershot. There's nothing really more to say. I'm sorry if you don't like the outcome. I'm sorry if you don't like the idea of a DS going around a banger track. But the thing is, this is what I'm just keen to kind of show you, is that all the cars that are going around there are wrecks. They're not ever viable cars to go on the road. Well, I mean, there might be sometimes, I don't know. But certainly in this case, they're not viable cars to go on the road. They're cars that no one wants to buy, or cars that no one wants to pay to do up. So what should they do? Should they just sit wherever they were in a field? Like, what do you do with them? Yeah, so The parts have gone on to help other cars, the wheels, the steering wheel, the wheels, some other bits and bobs have gone into Audrey. The other bits that I bought for it have gone back to Citroen Classics. The rack they've got off me will go into someone else's car. So these parts will keep other cars going. Yeah, we're just distributing it out. But the bit I'm more excited about really is what people can do with this stuff. Like, I can't keep all this stuff. So what can you do? Can you make something out of this? If you can, I want you to do it, and I want you to show me what you did. And I'm genuinely intrigued. Every single person, I want you to picture of you like, look what I made. It's a bit of Clement. All these people around the world who have been buying mugs and not t-shirts yet, I don't do them yet, I will soon. Mugs and hoodies and everything like that, and stickers, you know, who I'm never going to meet, half of you, but you could make something out of this car. Part of the story. Watched it from the beginning. So yes, that's it. I'm done. I'm going home. It's freezing cold, and I'm going to go home and get into bed and cry.